We are 1 week into the NBA season. I thought we could do some waiver wire talk. 3, 4 games we're looking at for most teams, so still very early, but there are some players that have popped up on the radar. Some we were drafting, some we weren't, some have been dropped. All sorts. I've got 8 players to talk about. Welcome to Stuff It, a fantasy basketball podcast, brought to you as always by FanDuel and FanTrax. Part of the Old Man Squad, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Go and find us on the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts. Download the episodes over there as well. We appreciate everything. Now, 8 players, and I remember during the preseason, did some shows talking about players. I can't remember the exact content of the shows, but I read the comments, believe it or not, I do. And there were a few comments on 1 or 2 of the shows just talking about graphics. Let's get some pictures. Let's get some numbers up on the board, which is a fair comment. If you are watching on YouTube, you don't need to look at my face for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. On the audio feeds, obviously, not as much of an issue. But on the videos, let's get some pictures going. Now, do we want to see? Let's do this one. Now, Matty G has done these graphics for me. I am nowhere near talented enough to put these together, but I am able to edit them. So he put together a template for me, and I edited, and I think they look okay. Fairly simple, but easy enough for someone like me. First player. Let's get into these guys. Dennis Schroder from the Sacramento Kings. Now, you can see the rank here. I've got a weekly rank and a season rank. At the moment, they're obviously the same because we are only 1 week into the season. So that will make more sense or be more relevant as we move through the season. But as of right now, Dennis Schroder is the 61st ranked player now. Now, he was drafted. I feel like he was drafted in well, not every league, but probably in a lot of leagues. Just as the starting point guard, I guess, in Sacramento, starting point guard on any team is going to warrant some attention. Now, Dennis Schroder was very good at Eurobasket, and we've seen this before. He's very good when he plays for Germany. He comes back to the NBA and is mediocre. Now, last season, if we think back to 12 months ago, he was very good to begin the season and then faded badly late in the season. And we've seen a similar start from him this season. DeMar DeRozan, I think you could argue the fact that he's not washed, but he's certainly not the player that he once was. Sabonis has looked iffy, perhaps still dealing with that hamstring issue. So Schroeder's been doing quite a lot. You can see his numbers there for the first week of the season. The assists, they're going to stick, probably not to this level. So he is averaging, for those that can't see it, 16.3 points on 45% shooting. Hasn't missed a free throw yet, but doesn't really get to the line a whole lot. But 7.3 assists and 1.7 steals. That's where a lot of his value is coming from. He's going to have to continue to do stuff. Sacramento are not a good team. They are put together really weirdly. So I think Schroeder makes sense as someone that we're probably just going to hold for now, see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not going to be a top 60 player all season. Top 100, possibly. I think that's probably ceiling, sort of top 100, top 90, best case scenario. Probably sitting in that top 120, top 130 range. And maybe it is that we get top 70 value, top 80 value for 2 months. And then some things change and he falls back outside the top 130. I have no idea. But as of right now, he is available. So the data that I've sort of used as a checklist to get these players onto the show is that they are rostered in under 50% of Yahoo leagues. Now, obviously not everyone's on Yahoo. A lot of those leagues are probably not competitive leagues. But at the moment, I've gone for under 50% of these players being rostered. On to the next player. Now, how this will work? That does work. There you go. Donte DiVincenzo for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, this doesn't include tonight's game, tonight being Monday. So I've put this together sort of as the games are wrapping up on Monday. So this doesn't include that game, but he was pretty good in that game from what I've checked, or sort of good enough. I won't say he was great. Anthony Edwards is going to miss some time. That's really all I need to say. He's not going to play for the next couple of weeks. So Donte DiVincenzo is going to have to do a lot. Mike Conley is starting, so that shows you how desperate they are. DiVincenzo, we've seen him be a top 100 player, even a top 80 player at times. He's averaging 12.5 points, 2.5 threes, 3 assists, 1.7 steals. So a lot of his value comes from steals and threes, but the points, he's going to have to probably push up to 15, 16 points a game for the next couple of weeks. Those assists probably go from 3 up to 5, maybe 6. He's not a high assist player, and if he is starting alongside Conley, that's 2-point guards basically. So DiVincenzo will play off the ball a bit, but I do think his numbers will increase from here, and you can see he's the 120th ranked player over the last week. Could he be top 80 for 2 weeks? I don't see why not. We've seen it before. If he can get that shot going, I just think he's really a no-brainer. He's another player that was drafted in many spots coming into the season, but may have been dropped after like 1 or 2 games. So just check if he is floating around. Obviously, some of these players are going to be available in your leagues. Some of them are not, but he definitely shouldn't be. The next player, Tre Jones for the Washington Wizards, one of the rookies who have really impressed. There's a number of them thus far. The Wizards have been encouragingly positive this season. I don't think any of us are expecting them to win a ton of games, but they've looked good. They've looked competitive. They've got rid of Kyle Kuzma. They got rid of Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal, they got rid of him a long time ago. I don't know why I said that. They've got Chris Middleton there. They've got CJ McCollum there. I don't know how long they're there for. Tre Jones is a piece for them for the future. They've invested in him. They drafted him. And I've had some questions about him. We also get questions about Bub Carrington as analysts, and I'm certainly not super high on Bub Carrington, and I think I'd argue that Tre Jones is already better than Bub Carrington. I don't know how much kickback I'd get there. Probably not a lot, to be honest. 17 points a game, 1.8 threes. Not really doing anything else at this stage, but that will come. We don't know what this final sort of starting lineup is going to look like once Bilal Coulibaly is back, and does Middleton leave and all that sort of thing. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tre Jones is in the starting lineup at some point this season. A little bit like we saw from Keyshawn George last season. He moved in towards the back end of the season. So Tre Jones, he was probably drafted, but certainly I would say his draft percentage was pretty low. He wouldn't have been picked up in a lot of leagues. Deeper leagues, absolutely. Dynasty leagues, absolutely. Redraft leagues, probably not. But I think, as I said, he may have edged ahead of Bub Carrington in my eyes anyway. Whether the coaching staff agrees, I don't know. But he's looked good so far. Top 50 player. Obviously, that's low turnovers. He hasn't missed a free throw. Field goal percentage has been pretty good, 47.4%. That probably does come down a little bit being a rookie guard. But he's looked impressive, and the Wizards obviously have all the incentive in the world to play these young guys. So I do think Tre Johnson's path to minutes is reasonably clear, despite the fact that Bilal Coulibaly will come back at some point. All right, on to the next player, and that is Ryan Rollins from the Milwaukee Bucks. Someone that I've been high on for a few years. I would say maybe 3 or 4 years. So I picked him up quite early in a dynasty league. I now have him in 3 dynasty leagues, I think, and a couple of redraft leagues. Coming into the season, Kevin Porter Jr. was favoured to start, and we saw on opening night he did in fact start. Ryan Rollins came off the bench as the second string point guard ahead of Cole Anthony, but it was a sort of a minute split there a little bit. But Kevin Porter Jr. injured his ankle in the second game of the year, I want to say, which meant that opening or that starting spot was wide open, and Ryan Rollins stepped into it and has played really well. 12 points, shooting the ball terribly, so that will improve. He will be better than 40% from the field. So he's sitting at 12 points a game on 38.7% shooting. I think that comes up. Hasn't missed a free throw. He's only hitting 1-3 a game at the moment, so there's room for improvement on the offensive end. But 4.3 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 2.7 steals. He is a very good defensive player. Those steals obviously won't stick at 2.7. But if he's going to play, I mean, the minutes are way up at the moment. Cole Anthony has also been out. When everything settles, if he's playing 25 minutes a night, 27 minutes a night, then I think he could be at, 1.6 steals a game, which is handy. Do they move him or leave him in as the starting point guard once Kevin Porter's back? Maybe for a couple of games. I still think they'll probably get Porter back in there once he's healthy. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see instances where Ryan Rollins plays over Kevin Porter Jr., whether that's to close the game, during the flow of the game. So definitely worth picking up now. And then I think once we get word that Kevin Porter is coming back, you just hold Rollins and see what his role looks like once all three of those players are healthy. All right, so we'll get into the next player. Before we do, I will remind everyone that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, sportsbook.fanduel.com. We're now a week into the season, so I was going through some of the over-unders for this season, and interestingly, the Charlotte Hornets at the moment, their over-under is 28.5 wins. The Indiana Pacers is 36.5. So that's just one example of, I think you can still get some good money on certain teams. I mean, the Pacers look terrible. They have had a lot of injuries, but just the fact that they've got rid of James Wiseman, they've signed Mac McClung, they're just rolling guys out there willy-nilly. I wouldn't be surprised if they come in under that 36.5. And then the Hornets have looked really good. I know they've lost Brandon Miller for 3 to 4 weeks, and this is going to be a really key stretch for them. Although it's early in the season, if they can stay or sort of keep their head above water here over the next, 3 weeks, 12, 15 games, if they can maybe go 500 during that time, go 8-6 or something like that, Brandon Miller will come back in. LaMelo's looked really good. Kalkbrenner's been interesting. That is going to be a weak point for them. That center spot, we saw Kalkbrenner was sort of showing up a bit against Joel Embiid. But on the whole, I think he's looked pretty good. I think Sexton is a good fit for them. I'm not saying he's a great player, but he's a good fit. So I don't know. They've looked better than in past seasons. And if they can just stay in the positive, then I think that over-under of 28.5 could be in jeopardy in terms of bet the over. Anyway, head to sportsbook.fanduel.com. Have a look at all the teams there. Get some money on. All right, let's go to the next player. So this, one of the more talked about players late in draft season by me anyway, Josh Minott from the Boston Celtics. Now, I picked him up in a handful of leagues with my last pick, just based on what we saw in the preseason and the assumption that the Celtics were going to not tank necessarily, but look to develop rather than win. It didn't start too well, if we're being honest. Josh Minott, he barely played in the first couple of games. Then in the third game of the season, played well, limited minutes off the bench. And then in today's game, which was a win over the Pelicans, says a lot about the Pelicans, he started and had easily his best game of the season. Let's just, I'll bring up that box score. I think it finished with something like 13-9 with a 3 Did he hit a three? I know he had a steal. I know he had a block. Let's have a look at the box score here. Josh Minott. So 28 minutes. He did have a three. 28 minutes, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 3. Hit both of his free throws and was a plus 42. So they did win by, I don't know, it was a lot. I don't have the score in front of me. But yeah, I mean, he was arguably their best player in this one. Anthony Simons also played well off the bench, but certainly had an impact. So the question now is, do we trust this, and what happens in the next game? I don't have a lot of faith when it comes to what the Celtics are doing this season. But given that he was, like I said, arguably their best player, everyone else played. So Jaylen Brown played, Derek White played. I would like to think that he may get another shot at that starting position. But I think you just have to go and grab him and get ahead of this. If he was dropped, go and pick him up. It would depend who you're giving up to add him. But if you've got a free roster spot or you can move someone to an IR spot, I would give Minott a look. I think we were pretty high on him coming into the season as a late round flyer. That went south really quickly, but could go north even quicker if he can stick in that starting lineup and play 25 plus minutes a game. All right, next player, someone who has certainly benefited from injuries, and that is Tre Jones from the Chicago Bulls. So no Kobe White. This is one of the more obvious, I guess, one-for-one discussions. Often in today's game, someone will get injured, and it's not always as simple as, yes, this player is out, so this player is coming in. It just isn't. With the way that teams do things nowadays, they shuffle positions and that sort of thing. This one has been a one-for-one. Tre Jones has come in. He started. You can see there he's the 25th ranked player this season. And this is basically coming off a breakout. Do we call it a breakout? The end of last season, he looked really good. The Bulls looked really good. He did suffer an ankle injury, which sort of halted his momentum, but they've signed him. I think he's a piece of what they're building there in Chicago, which is really good to see. As a 90s NBA fan, it's good to see the Bulls and the Hornets both competing. Bulls had another good win today over I was just watching it, over the Hawks. Bit disappointing. If we're talking about a good start to the season for the Bulls, pretty disappointing for the Hawks. But Tre Jones was really good again. Now, these numbers potentially don't include that game. Let me just have a look. Tre Jones. All right, let me just have a look. I mean, the numbers here we've got on the screen are good anyway, but I will just see they may or may not have included the 3 games. Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, okay. So his number. So yeah, look, he's playing 30 minutes a night. Basically, he's starting. Kobe White is still another 1 to 2 weeks away, and given the way that they're playing, they're not going to rush Kobe White back. And this is actually a really good example of a player who is just very consistent. So sometimes you'll look at a player, you'll look at their averages, and there'll be some high highs and some low lows. Tre Jones is very consistent. He's scored 14, 13, and 12 points in all 3 games. So, again, very consistent. 9, 8, and 8 in terms of assists, 2, 5, and 3 in terms of steals, 2, 1, and 1 threes. So everything very consistent. You're looking at a guy who can get you pretty much what it says on the screen here. 13 points, roughly. The assists are good, despite the fact that he's sharing the court with Josh Giddey. 8.3 assists, 3.3 steals is not going to stick. And probably not 8.3 assists. But, yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised if for the next couple of weeks he can continue to put up top 50 numbers. He is an efficient guard, so that 52% probably is on the high end, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hovers around 50%. He doesn't take the shots he can't make. He's quite selective with his shots, which obviously limits upside in terms of he's not going to go out and score 25 points. But it will impact that efficiency in a good way. So if Tre Jones is available, probably isn't, but according to Yahoo, he is available, or he is rostered in under 50% of leagues. So just go and have a look. Back to the Celtics. The center spot in Boston there was a lot of discussion around who it would be. Would it be Neemias Queta? Would it be Luka Garza? Would it be Chris Boucher? Neemias Queta had it from opening night. He was a bit up and down. The minutes were a little bit inconsistent, not super inconsistent, but he certainly wasn't blowing us away with his production. And to be honest, he still isn't. But the game log, he has started all 4 games now. So I think we're pretty set that he is the starter here. The minutes have been a little bit inconsistent. 25 in the opening game, 22 in the next game, 27, and then 22 in tonight's game. Now, tonight's game I'm not reading too much into because it was a blowout. So he didn't close the game. He potentially would have, which would have pushed him back up to that sort of 26, 27. And that's probably where we're going to set or put our flag in at about 27 minutes. So his numbers thus far, again, they're not going to blow you away. 8.8 points, but he is shooting 62% from the field and 76 from the line. So 62%, very good from the field, and 76 from the line is not going to hurt you. But he's getting 8 rebounds. He's getting 2 blocks. And I think of all of their center options, he is clearly the guy with the most upside. And that's certainly saying something because I don't think he has a ton of upside. But I think he's the center we want to roster. And if he was dropped after that first game or second game, he could be floating around. Go and have a look, just see if he's available as your third center, probably. And the final player on the list for this week is Knoppell from the Charlotte Hornets. Now, talked about the Hornets before with on the over-under with Brandon Miller out for 3 to 4 weeks, I would say. Popped something on Twitter earlier today. The subluxation is a partial dislocation, basically. And the average return time, and Jeff Stotts posted, I think I reposted his, is 3.6 weeks. So you're looking at, 3 to 4 weeks, which is 15 games. So that's a decent chunk of the season. Knoppell started in that first game post-injury for Brandon Miller. Now, he hasn't done a lot, but he certainly has a positive impact on the court. He's quite a calm player for a rookie. He's averaging 15 points, 3.7 threes, 4.7 rebounds. Doesn't do a lot on the defensive end, only 0.3 blocks. Steals. 55 from the field and 50 from the line. So that'll go up. The free throws will go up. He won't be a 50% free throw shooter. The field goals probably come down. He won't be a 55% field goal guy. But he's going to play minutes with the injury to Brandon Miller. And as I said, they're playing well. So this isn't a situation where the mindset of the coaching staff is sort of not in line with us as fantasy managers. They're winning games. Knoppell is playing minutes. In the last game, he played only 22, but that was a blowout. Prior to that, he was at 27. I think he's going to sit at around 27 to 28. He will get you threes. He's a good rebounder for a guard. He will get you some assists. Sorry, those minutes were incorrect there. He's at 30. I was looking at the wrong screen there. 35 minutes in the last game, 30 the game before. So, I think he's going to sit in that high 20s, as I said. It will depend on the result, that sort of thing. But he's getting you double-digit points. He's hitting threes. Decent rebounder, like I said, for a guard. And wouldn't be surprised if he's, other than the assists, he won't get the assists and all the steals, to be honest. But I think he might end up being quite selective with his shots, which will help his field goal percentage. So I don't think this will be a situation where he's a rookie who comes in and shoots 39% or 41. He could be around 45. If he is selective, he obviously has LaMelo playing really well alongside him. So, yeah, I would look for Knoppell to be pretty solid for the next 3 weeks at least. Beyond that, he may or may not be a hold. But as a short-term guy, I would consider Con Knoppell as a pickup. All right. And that brings us to the end. That's all 8 players for this week. Now, I'm thinking of doing this show as a weekly thing. I'll be recording it this sort of time every week, so it should be coming out on a Tuesday morning, I believe. All things going well, I should be able to add it into my schedule. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. A reminder to go and subscribe to the Old Man Squad YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Give all of the videos a thumbs up. We are very close to 10,000 subscribers. I think we're within maybe 100. I can't tell you for sure. Let me actually have a look, and I'll give you an exact number of subscribers. I think I did see we were over 9.9. Oh, we're even closer. 26 subscribers away as of recording. 26 subscribers away from 10,000. So I'm going to pop something on Twitter, see if we can get that up over 10,000 today or tonight while I'm asleep. Thank you again for listening. I'm Adam King. This has been Stuff It, a fantasy basketball podcast. We are done.